When we think of silence, many of us imagine peace, calmness, a pause that brings comfort. But in the heart of a woman who craves connection, silence is not peace. It is weight, it is not neutral, it is heavy. When a man stays silent, when words that should be spoken remain trapped in his chest, she does not experience emptiness, she experiences rejection. She does not hear nothing, she hears I don't care. She does not feel space, she feels distance. And that distance grows deeper with every passing second of unspoken truth. Think for a moment, imagine her sitting across from you, her eyes searching for reassurance, her heart waiting for a response. You may think your silence is safe. You may think that by holding back, by not saying the wrong thing, you are protecting her. But what she feels is not protection. What she feels is abandonment. Silence is not an absence of words. It is a presence of pain. Let me ask you this. Have you ever waited for someone you love to speak? Waited for them to show you that you mattered, only to be met with silence? That ache you felt in your chest, that mix of confusion and disappointment, that's exactly what she feels. Except for her, it runs deeper because women are wired to read between the lines, to feel what isn't being said, to hold on to the weight of unspoken emotions. And when you withhold words, she begins to carry that weight alone. Imagine silence like a room. At first, it's just empty space. But then, slowly, the room begins to fill, not with your voice, but with her questions, with her fears, with her doubts. Every second of silence is another brick added to that room, another wall between you and her. You may think you're giving her nothing, but in reality, you're giving her everything she dreads. The longer you remain silent, the heavier that room becomes until she is crushed beneath the weight of it. Now let's shift the tone higher, powerful, because words are not just sounds. Words are bridges. They connect two hearts, two souls, two lives. And when you take away that bridge, when you stand back and choose silence, you force her to stand on one side while you remain on the other. The river between you grows wider. She may shout across, but your silence drowns her voice, and sooner or later she stops calling out. Not because she doesn't care, but because she feels unheard. Do you see how silence, which feels harmless to you, becomes suffocating to her? She sits in the quiet, holding on to memories of your laughter, your words of comfort, your whispers that once made her feel safe. But now the silence replaces them. Instead of hearing I love you, she hears nothing. Instead of hearing you matter to me, she hears nothing. And so she begins to hear something else. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe he doesn't feel the same anymore. Maybe this is the beginning of the end. Do you feel the weight of that? Soft tone again, that is the depth of what silence does. It is not stillness. It is erosion. It does not build. It breaks. A woman does not just feel silence with her ears. She feels it in her soul. Let me bring it closer to you with an example. Imagine a child waiting for their parent to show up to a school play. They wait, eyes scanning the crowd, hoping, believing, trusting. But the parent doesn't come. The child hears no excuse, no explanation, just silence. That silence hurts far more than the absence itself. Because at least with words there is clarity. With silence there is only emptiness, and emptiness leaves scars. That's what a woman feels when the man she loves chooses silence over honesty, silence over connection. Now rise again, strong, powerful, because this truth cannot be ignored. Silence screams louder than words ever could. It shouts, you don't matter, I'm not here, I don't care enough to try. And she feels it deeply, because love to a woman is not measured only in touch or gifts. It is measured in communication, in words spoken from the heart. And so, when you choose silence, you don't just withhold speech, you withhold love. You withhold reassurance. You withhold safety. You withhold everything she longs to feel. That silence becomes a storm inside her, shaking the foundation of trust she built with you. And if left too long, that storm destroys what once was strong and beautiful. Because here is the reality many fail to see. Women don't ask for words to nag or to burden. They ask for words to connect, to feel seen, to feel valued. They are not asking for poetry or grand speeches. They are asking for the truth, spoken with honesty. Even the smallest words, "I understand," "I'm listening," "I'm here," are lifelines. Silence is the opposite. Silence cuts the rope and lets her drift away. The weight of silence is invisible to men, but it is undeniable to women. She feels it in the way her chest tightens when you turn away instead of speaking. She feels it in the way her mind races at night, wondering what your silence really means. She feels it in the way her love begins to feel one-sided, unreciprocated, unseen, and the longer you stay silent, the deeper those feelings cut into her. Now let's bring it home with strength, because this is not just about understanding, it's about change. Men, hear this clearly. Silence is not strength. Silence is not patience. Silence is not love. If you truly care, if you truly love, then speak. Even if your voice shakes, even if you don't have perfect words, speak, because your words are not just sounds to her. They are proof. Proof that she matters, proof that she is loved, proof that she is not alone. And when you withhold those words, she feels it deeper than you can ever imagine. The longer you stay silent, the more she questions her worth, the more she doubts your love, the more she drifts away. But when you choose to break that silence, you give her something priceless. You give her peace, you give her assurance. You give her the certainty that your love is real. So remember this truth: silence is not nothing, silence is everything. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper a woman feels it. She sits there, waiting for words that never arrive. And in that waiting, her heart begins to whisper questions to itself. Did I do something wrong? Did I say too much? Am I not enough anymore? This is what silence does. It does not stay silent. It speaks to her, but not in your voice. It speaks in the cruel voice of doubt. It becomes an echo chamber of insecurity where every unanswered question grows louder, heavier, sharper. And while you may believe your silence is harmless, she feels it as a storm inside her chest. Think about this when you remain silent. You may tell yourself, "I just need time to think. I don't want to make things worse. I don't know the right words yet." But while you pause, she unravels. While you take your time, she wonders if time is the problem. While you hold back your words, she imagines reasons that cut her deeper than any spoken truth could. Silence is not stillness. It is a breeding ground for fear. Imagine her at night, lying awake, staring at the ceiling while her mind runs faster than her heartbeat. She replays the last conversation, searching for a moment where she might have failed. She analyzes every look on your face, every pause, every sigh. And when she cannot find answers, her mind creates them. It tells her he's losing interest. He's hiding something. He doesn't love me the way he used to. And those thoughts don't fade by morning. They settle in her heart like heavy stones. That is what your silence does. Every moment of silence deepens her questions. What could have been a small misunderstanding becomes a wound. What could have been a gentle conversation becomes a battlefield in her own mind. She fights enemies that don't exist: doubts, insecurities, fears. All because the one person who could have silenced them chose not to speak. Do you see the tragedy here? Silence does not keep the peace. Silence breaks it. Imagine a mirror with a single crack. If you touch it gently, if you repair it quickly, it can be saved. But if you leave it alone, if you ignore it, that crack spreads. It splinters across the glass until the reflection is distorted, unrecognizable. That's what happens to her heart when you leave her in silence. A small crack of doubt turns into a web of insecurities. until she no longer sees love clearly. She only sees damage. And here's the part men often don't realize. Women don't ask questions because they want to argue. They ask because they want reassurance. They ask because they want to know they matter. They ask because love to them is alive in words, alive in expression, alive in communication. When those words never come, when their questions are met with silence, they feel invisible. And invisibility is one of the deepest pains a woman can endure. Now stronger, more energetic, because the truth must land. Silence is not just the absence of an answer. It is an answer, and the answer she hears is this: you don't care enough to respond. You don't value me enough to explain. You don't love me enough to stay present. That is the story silence tells her, and even if it isn't true, that's what she believes. Because her heart cannot fill the silence with hope forever. Eventually it fills it with doubt. Let me ask you this: have you ever been left on read? Have you ever sent a message that mattered to you? A message you poured your heart into, only to see no reply? Do you remember that sinking feeling, that frustration, that voice inside saying, "I guess they don't care"? Now magnify that feeling by 10, by 100. That's what a woman feels when the man she loves chooses silence. It is not just a text left unanswered. It is love left unanswered, because this deserves reflection. She is not weak for feeling this way. She is not overly sensitive. She is human, and humans need connection. Words are not just sounds, they are lifelines. They say, "I hear you, I see you, you are not alone." When those words don't come, she is left stranded on an island of doubt, building stories in her head that were never meant to exist. And the saddest part, many of those stories could be erased with one sentence, one small gesture, one moment of honesty. "No, you didn't do anything wrong. I just need a little time." Or, "I'm not upset with you. I'm just quiet because I'm tired." Simple truths. But without them, her mind will fill in the gaps, and the mind almost always chooses the darkest possibility. Because this is where we break the pattern. Silence is a choice, and so is speaking. Every time you choose to break silence, you protect her from drowning in questions. You guard her heart from needless battles. You remind her that she is enough, that she is seen, that she is loved. Do not underestimate the power of your words. They are not small. To her, they are everything. Think of it like light in a dark room. Silence is darkness. It makes everything uncertain, everything shadowed. But one word, one phrase, one reassurance is light. It may be small, but it pushes back the dark, and that is all she is asking for. Not perfection, not poetry. Just presence, just the courage to answer her questions before they turn into wounds. And so I say this with strength: never let silence be the author of her story. Because if you do, the story she writes will not be one of love. It will be one of doubt, and the longer you let her write that story alone, the harder it becomes to erase. Speak before her questions grow too loud. Answer before her heart gives up asking, because in the end, silence may feel safe to you, but to her, it is the most dangerous sound in the world. Every moment of silence deepens her questions. Every moment of silence convinces her she is losing you. And one day, if those questions remain unanswered, she will stop asking. Not because she found peace, but because she accepted pain. Words are bridges and silence is a wall. That's the truth many people fail to see. When you speak, when you share even the simplest of thoughts, you are building a path from your heart to hers. She can walk across that bridge, meet you in the middle, feel close, feel connected, feel safe. But when you choose silence, when you shut down, when you hold it all inside, you're not just avoiding a conversation. You are laying brick after brick in a wall between you and her. And the higher that wall grows, the harder it becomes for love to climb over it. two people standing on opposite sides of a river. There is distance, yes, but there is also potential. One can build a bridge, step by step, plank by plank, and soon that river isn't a barrier anymore. It's simply water beneath their feet. But if instead of a bridge a wall is built, then no matter how much love is on the other side, it cannot pass through. That is what silence does. It takes the love she feels for you, the warmth she wants to give, and blocks it behind a wall she cannot break down. A woman feels silence in ways a man rarely understands, because she doesn't just notice that words are missing. She feels the meaning behind what isn't said. When you withhold words, she feels withheld love. When you hold back, she feels pushed away. And even if you believe your silence means nothing, to her it means everything. It's not simply a pause in communication, it's a break in connection. Let me ask you something. What holds two people together? Is it money? Is it gifts? Is it time spent sitting in the same room without speaking? No. What holds two people together is the thread of communication. That's the thread that ties hearts, and every time silence takes over, that thread frays, slowly, invisibly, but surely. And if it's left unattended, the thread snaps, not with a loud sound, but with quiet devastation, and once it's gone, the connection is no longer alive. Communication is the bridge, silence is the wall. Words heal, words reassure, words make her feel loved. Silence, on the other hand, creates doubts, builds suspicion, and fosters loneliness. Think of how different it feels when you hear someone say, "I'm proud of you," versus when you hear nothing at all. One fills your chest with strength, the other leaves you empty. To her, those words matter even more because her heart is tuned to connection. She doesn't just want to exist beside you, she wants to feel you with her. And silence robs her of that. Imagine you're in a dark forest at night. The path ahead is unclear. You don't know where to go, and fear creeps in with every step. But then you hear a familiar voice calling your name. Suddenly, the darkness doesn't feel so threatening. Suddenly, you feel safer because you know you're not alone. That's what words do for her. They light the path, they guide, they comfort. Silence, however, leaves her in the dark, walking blind, hoping she doesn't stumble. Sometimes men believe that silence avoids conflict, that staying quiet keeps the peace. But the truth is, silence is not peace, it is distance disguised. It's like painting over a crack in the wall, pretending it's not there. For a moment it looks fine, but underneath the damage grows. And one day it collapses. Silence may look calm on the outside, but inside her it shakes everything. It creates a storm of questions, and those storms only grow stronger with time. Now let's push with strength, because this needs to land. If you want love to last, you must learn to speak. Not perfectly, not with the right words every time, but honestly, sincerely, consistently. A bridge doesn't have to be beautiful to be useful. It just has to connect. In the same way, your words don't have to be poetic. They just have to show her she matters, that you're here, that you care. Silence never does that. Silence never builds. Silence only breaks. Think of a home. A home is not made of bricks alone. It is made of voices, laughter, conversations that echo in the walls. Take those away and the house is still standing, but it's empty, cold, lifeless. That's what happens to love without communication. The relationship still exists in form, but the soul of it, the warmth, the closeness, the safety, is gone. Let me ask you this, louder now. What is the use of loving someone if they cannot feel your love? What is the point of holding it in your heart if your silence hides it from them? Love that isn't expressed, love that isn't spoken, love that isn't communicated might as well not exist. Because to her, love is not proven by being silent beside her. It is proven by being present with her. With your words, with your voice, with your effort, A woman will try. She will knock on the wall. She will call out. She will give hints. She will ask questions. But if she is always met with silence, if her knocking is never answered, she will stop trying. And when she stops, it's not because she stopped loving you. It's because she cannot keep exhausting herself against a wall. She will withdraw, not in anger, but in resignation. And that withdrawal hurts far more than any argument ever could. So let me tell you, with power in my voice, don't let silence build the wall that keeps her away. Don't let fear of saying the wrong thing stop you from saying anything, because your silence, which feels safe to you, is destruction to her. Speak, even if it's messy, even if it's short, speak, because every word you offer is a brick in the bridge, and every silence you choose is a brick in the wall. Now, imagine her walking across that bridge. Imagine her face when she feels safe, when she feels heard, when she feels valued. That is the reward of communication. That is the fruit of choosing connection over distance. And imagine instead her standing before a wall, knocking, waiting, crying softly as she realizes no one is coming to open it. That is the price of silence. Which one will you choose? Because at the end of the day, relationships are not destroyed by distance, but by silence. Love does not die when problems arise. It dies when words disappear. And when words disappear, walls rise. So remember this: communication builds the bridge, silence builds the wall. And the longer you choose silence, the higher that wall becomes, until one day you find yourselves strangers standing on opposite sides of it. There is something powerful, almost sacred, about breaking silence, because silence may feel safe, but it is a cage. And love cannot breathe in a cage. Love needs expression, it needs voice, it needs presence. A woman who feels your silence sinking deeper into her heart does not need grand gestures. She does not need endless speeches. She needs you to break the silence. To speak, to reach out, to show her, in the simplest of ways, that she still matters, that she is still seen, that she is still loved. Think of the difference one sentence can make. I hear you. Suddenly, she doesn't feel ignored. I care. Suddenly, she doesn't feel invisible. I'm here. Suddenly, she doesn't feel alone. These are not complicated words. They are not rehearsed. They are not polished. But they are real, and real words heal wounds that silence only deepens. A woman doesn't crave perfection. She craves honesty. She doesn't expect you to have all the answers. She only wants to know that you're willing to show up, to engage, to be present. When you break silence with love, even if your voice shakes, even if your words stumble, you give her something priceless. You give her assurance that she's not fighting for the relationship alone. You give her peace of mind that her questions don't have to turn into fears. You give her the simple, irreplaceable comfort of knowing she matters to you. Rise in tone, stronger because silence builds walls, but words tear them down. Silence pushes her away, but words pull her close. Silence makes her doubt, but words restore her faith. Breaking the silence is not weakness, it is strength. It is saying, I choose you over my pride. I choose us over my fear. I choose connection over distance. And when a woman hears that, not in theory but in practice, she feels loved in a way silence could never provide. Imagine her heart like a room filling with questions, shadows, doubts. Silence makes that room darker with every passing moment. But when you speak, even softly, even briefly, it's like striking a match in the dark. The light may be small, but it changes everything. The shadows pull back, the fear loosens, and she can finally breathe again. That is the power of breaking silence. And isn't that what love is supposed to be? Not leaving someone alone with their fears, but walking through them together. Not letting walls rise higher, but building bridges stronger. not withholding words, but using them to heal, to reassure, to love. Because love unspoken may still exist, but love unspoken is love unfelt. And what good is love if the one you love cannot feel it? So I say this with strength, with clarity. When you choose to speak instead of staying silent, you are choosing love. When you choose to express instead of withhold, you are choosing connection. When you break the silence, you are not just filling the air with words, you are filling her heart with certainty. And sometimes that certainty is all she needs to keep believing in you, to keep trusting the bond you share, to keep fighting for the love you both deserve. Because the truth is simple. Breaking the silence is not just speaking. It is loving, and in love nothing matters more than that.